All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Night Talk. My name is Melissa Jean Baptiste, and I'm the communication specialist for the ACRB. With us tonight is our host, Samuel Lee Reed, the executive director of the ACRB. And if you haven't heard already who we are and what we do, I'm going to pass it over to Lee so he can give you a brief explanation of the ACRB and what we do before we get started.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. As Melissa said, I'm Lee Reed, the Executive Director of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board. The ACRB is an independent investigative agency of the City of Atlanta, authorized to receive, investigate, adjudicate, mediate citizen complaints against Atlanta police and corrections officers. As most of you probably know, the agency was created after the death of Ms. Katherine Johnson in 2006. The Atlanta City Council created the agency in 2007 and opened up its doors in 2008. And we've been serving the community since that time. You know, it's interesting that when we think about the work of the City Council and the mayor's office, it was elected officials who it was an outcry from citizens demanding a response to the killing of Katherine Johnson. And it was the elected officials' response to that created the ACRB. Why do I mention that? Because today is what?
Election day.
So it's important that we think about the roles of our elected officials and how voting impacts the way we live our lives. I mean, it's now 6 o'clock, and so time is getting short for today. So Melissa, I mean, you know, I think tonight we're going to be talking about, you know, elections and voting and you know what kind of impact that has on oversight and policing. I mean, so Melissa, let's get a little bit of information about the election for today. What's happening in Atlanta?
No problem. Thank you, Lee. So I know before we even get started with that, we did advertise that we would be continuing our Meet the Board segment, but because today is election day, we want to go ahead and focus on that. So those of you that were looking forward to seeing our board member on tonight, Jermaine Austin, he will join us next week, and we'll definitely have some conversation for him then. But for today, we're just going to get into the election that is being held tonight. The 2021 City of Atlanta Municipal General Election will be held, of course, today, and it's going on during some precincts until 7 and others until 8. Of course, if you did not know, this election season, you could see a few different seats on the ballot. Of course, we have the City of Atlanta Mayor, the City of Atlanta Council President, the City of Atlanta District and at-large council members are also on the ballot. And lastly, the City of Atlanta Board of Education Districts at-large members. So we do have a few people on that ballot. And of course, like Lee said, it is 6 o'clock. Not sure if you're in line listening to us. If we made that much of an impact and influence, we would feel really great about that. But you all do have just a little bit over 2 hours in some precincts, in an hour, you know, to get your votes in. And we're just going to discuss, like Lee said, what can happen when we have new officials, because we definitely know when the City of Atlanta will be receiving a new mayor, what that can look like for agencies like us that are independent of the City of Atlanta, but we're still under that. So hopefully we'll get good results and everyone will be happy with what we find out at the end of the night. But we'll go ahead and get into that conversation and see what lies ahead for the ACRB and the City of Atlanta.
Well, you know, Melissa, thank you for that. I want to talk about something real quick, though. You know, Atlanta is the only civilian oversight agency in Georgia. Yep. And, you know, a lot of the challenges for some of the areas that want civilian oversight, it gets hemmed up by or stopped by the elected officials in those areas. Mm-hmm. And so, again, we're talking about that voting, you know, why it's important to have somebody in there that will reflect your needs and desires as it relates to policing, as it relates to officer accountability, why you need to vote to be able to ensure that they get elected. But here's something I wanted to talk about real quick. I was having a conversation earlier today with somebody about apathy, right? Um, and I was mentioning to this person that well, the person was saying that he was talking with someone, and they were saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to vote today because, they're going to do what they're going to do, meaning elected officials are going to do what they're going to do. What difference does it make? Same thing we've heard each voting cycle. And, so I was telling the person, I said, well, here's the thing. No one benefits from apathy except the people who already want to take advantage of you, right? Mm-hmm. They don't mind you saying, I don't want to participate. In fact, they enjoy that because they get to continue doing what they want to do. Right. And they don't have to answer to you. So every time when, someone says, I'm not going to go out and vote, I'm not going to vote because nothing's going to change. Unfortunately, we playing right into their hands. Yeah. And that makes things continue to be the way that they're going to be, the way that they are, because you're not participating in this exercise of going down, making the vote, so that you can make sure you get people in that's going to reflect the values and going to reflect the desires that you have for your local community. We have we'll be having a new city council that'll be coming in, and a new mayor that'll be coming in. And, the ACRB has been in a really good position over the past years to be able to continue to receive funding it needs to do its operation, and to make changes to the legislation as necessary. And that's what we want to continue to see happen. This is civilian oversight. It's not a static operation. It's one of those operations that continues to evolve, continues to grow, continues to make changes that are necessary to be able to address the needs and concerns of citizens as it relates to policing. So, I am hopeful that, when we have in the new mayor and the new city council members, that they will embrace the ACRB and see it for what it is, as being a valued operation that provides a service to citizens, so we can build that confidence with elected officials. I mean, with the citizens about policing. Right. That's what I'm hoping for. And we will know tonight, though. Yeah. I mean, when the polls close, we're gonna have a pretty good idea of where we're standing and the work that will need to be done, and planning out our future.
Because we're definitely going to see some new people. There are seats, of course, like we know, just like the mayor candidate, that seat in particular, we're going to have someone new. So we all should be anticipating some type of change with leadership. So it leads me to wonder, how would that affect us, especially being just fairly new to the agency. I would like to see, how the culture shifts within our agency, and if it does at all, because we always, I believe we've been fully supported by the mayor that we have now. And I would hope that continues for us, so we can continue to grow, because the powers that we have is, that's just extending on the community and the power that they have. Like of course, we're here for the community, and we want to make sure that everything that we do continues to happen in the best interest of them, even though we may see some changes from people that are kind of higher up than us. So that always makes us wonder, because we've heard so many promises and so many different things during the campaign. How do we ensure, as community members, that the people that we have in leadership now, the new people that are coming in, how do we make sure that they keep all of those campaign promises and all the things that got them into that seat, just as regular community members?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, the way we ensure citizens ensure that elected officials stay true to their campaign promises and address citizens' concerns is one, resist apathy, okay, and get involved, stay involved in the process. I mean,
it doesn't end with just the vote.
No, it doesn't end with just the vote.
Right.
One of the hallmarks of the ACRB is transparency, right? Sending out information about what we have, about what is going on with policing, about the decisions that are made on our complaints, about what types of complaints we receive. We want to have citizens receiving that information, asking us questions, being involved in it, because the better educated they are, the better questions they can ask of the elected officials, and the better expectations they can have of the elected officials to address their concerns. And so to answer your question, stay involved, resist apathy. If you're not on our listserv, be on our listserv. If you haven't visited the ACRB website, visit the ACRB website. If you have a question about policing, about the ACRB, about why we do the things the way that we do them, ask us. If you're concerned about how the police department responds to our board decisions, guess what? Ask us about it, and ask the elected officials about it. Attend the ACRB board meetings. On Zoom now, but one day hopefully we'll be back in person.
Right.
And certainly, and this is the last thing I'll say on that, and certainly come down to when we're back in the office, come down to the ACRB. Let's have a talk. Let's chat about it. Let's talk about it.
And that's literally the direction that I was going in, Lee. Sometimes I think, just as we see these agencies and all of the different, like City Hall and all of these establishments built, we forget that they are for us. They're for the community members. So we really want to make sure that, community members are patroning the halls of City Hall and coming and really finding out what these agencies do in there. Yes, we do work there, but it's definitely for the community and it's for everyone. And I think that's something we definitely need to stress, because we do so much outreach and we depend upon the feedback and the information that, we get within the complaints that are told to us and everything. So all of what we do really depends on the community. So we really want to make sure that they know that, and that they're coming out. And, when we have special elections like this, that, people are coming out in scores to really let their voice be heard, because the power that we continue to have is the power that they have. So hopefully we get good things going with that. I'm not sure, maybe you could tell us, Lee, if you've ever seen with a change of power or, like a change of leadership, not to say a direction that you did not like the ACRB going in, but can you really attest to it going either way? Like, have you ever seen in the past working with the ACRB where leadership could have affected us in a maybe not the best light? They may have not been as supportive, and how that works and how we would have a harmonious relationship with leadership that may not always have the same views as us. I'm not sure if we ever had anything like that.
We haven't had to deal with that necessarily here in Atlanta, but I'm going to give you an example. Before I started working with the ACRB in 2012, I was running a similar agency in Minneapolis, Minnesota, from 2006 to 2012, and it's a totally different environment. One, the police department was really, really rough up there. The union was strong up there. The elected officials, the unions had the elected officials' ear. And we all know what recently happened in Minneapolis. Right. And as they had changes, the mayor appointed, Minneapolis appointed different police chiefs. who did not value citizens
Oversight.
as much as he should have.
Okay.
And um, that made it bad for the citizens. And that continued this cycle of police abuse and officers not being held accountable for their actions and elected officials signing signing union contracts with the unions that allow officers to be able to do all kinds of things and not be held accountable, you know. And with each cycle, back then when I was working there, um, you could feel the impact, not necessarily so much as an agency, but in the experiences that citizens were having,
Yeah.
that were coming to us, you know. And then left, when I left Minneapolis, um, the mayor at that time and the people that he had appointed didn't truly embrace civilian oversight and didn't understand civilian oversight, and and um, they moved forward to create something that was totally different than the investigative model that we had, and it weakened the model. It weakened it. They and years prior to that, they had folded it into another department. I mean, so yeah, there's some real risk that can come when you have people who are elected who um, do not understand oversight and the role that it plays and the value that it provides to the police department and to the citizens.
Right.
You know, so one of the things that we will have to do is, as the new mayor and the new um, city council comes in, is make sure that we provide education to them about the agency.
Right.
So they can understand the agency's role, understand why we do things the way that we do them, the value that we provide to the citizens and the department and to the city overall. You know, so that's something that we're going to have to map out and make sure that we meet with each of those elected officials to do the introduction and the education that's going to be needed.
Right. And we definitely know that there is value in what we do. And I know there are a lot of times we have to be strategic in our messaging and in our wording, because a lot of people can see us as a different type of agency than what we really are. We're not for defunding the police and things like that, just because the language gets put out there a lot of different ways. So it is really important when we educate our community members to also know that we have to focus some attention towards our leadership as well, because everyone isn't always on board. And I would hate for us to not have, something like this. We're the only ones, just as you said, in Georgia. So it's really important, especially within the city limits of Atlanta and all that we see going on, that we keep the ACRB, very strong and healthy and preserved through the changes that we're going to definitely see moving forward. So another question that I have for you. What are some hopefuls that you have as far as the new leadership coming in? I know we work really closely with city council, and with having a new city council president, what do you hope to have, what changes would you hope to have applied to the ACRB that we don't see currently happening or going on for us right now?
Well, I think that the main thing is to continue to have the support that we need as um, as the environment changes, right? And I say that because as the environment changes, we may have to pivot our work to be able to make sure that we're addressing the needs that citizens have. And sometimes that means additional funding. Sometimes that means additional bodies to do the work. Sometimes that means additional legislation, to be able to give us the authority we need to be able to make the difference that we want to make. Sometimes that means that elected officials asking the questions of the police department, you know, because at the end of the day, um, we all have one goal, should have one goal. How do we have the best police officers on the street that can provide the service to the citizens, right?
Yeah.
And um, sometimes that means that you have to pull the coattails of someone and say, hey, you made a mistake, or that you need to do this better. It's not that people hating on you. It's just saying, look, there's a change needs to happen. And so we're going to push this forward to make the change happen, you know. And I think having leadership that understands that, and, you know, wanting to have the hard conversations and say, look, this is what's going to need to happen, um, is important. And, you know, the other thing is, what we have to have is making sure that when we have processes in place, we follow the processes. If we need to change them, we make the changes as needed, you know, but everything needs to be fair, transparent, and done in a way that can instill credibility, legitimacy, and trust.
A good point that you made there, in regards to like public safety and having those officers on the street. You stressed and you always mention having the best officers. I know we just, there was a time, Atlanta, not too long ago, we hired a lot of officers to be on the street. And I just think it's really important for us to really make sure and keep it as a fact that it's not just the quantity of officers that we have on the street, but we do need quality within that number. So
Right.
definitely wanting the new leadership to come in to see that, yes, we may have these issues within certain areas, but knowing that, you know, just charging a bunch of officers out into the streets may not be the best answer, and coming up with better strategies for them to really be able to communicate with our community members and to really figure out what the base problem is. Because a lot of the times we know it's either like poverty or just like employment issues and things like that, which causes spike in a lot of the crimes that we see in our neighborhoods. So, you know, just hopefully we can keep our fingers crossed that, you know, leadership that comes in really considers all of the avenues and all of the different things that they can do for our community. Because with public safety, I know the easy answer for a lot of people is to like hire more officers or get people more, you know, more people on the streets patrolling. And sometimes that definitely causes an issue. So when dealing with public safety as much as we do and working as closely as we do with the city council, that's something that I definitely look forward to seeing, just how they work and maneuver that.
Right.
But today's fairly short. It is a fairly short show, and we're definitely just looking into what's going to happen. We can't forecast it.
No, we can't
forecast it, and we don't want to. I don't think it would be wise for us to, like, you know, mention our hopefuls, but we'll wait and see.
Again, you know, I'm gonna say it again. You know, apathy, that's the deathbed. You know,
Yeah.
we citizens who choose not to participate in the voting process, you know, they basically are going to continue to have to react to what other people are doing to them.
Yeah.
You know,
And
and
that's something that
and
we always
that's not the position that you want to be in.
Yeah, it's something that we see with every election cycle, whether it's presidential or if it's local government, where we have those group of people. And I really never understand, you know, how they feel like, you know, their one vote may not matter, but how do we get to 100? How do we get to 1,000 with one? So,
well, right. But see, now here's the thing. You know, if you care about policing and officer accountability and all that comes with that, and you took the time to go out and march, doing the protests,
right.
and you know, were crying and emotional about everything that was happening, you should be the first to vote.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
you should be casting that vote with another 30 minutes left or an hour and a half left in some places. If a person hasn't voted yet, as soon as this is over, they need to go down to the poll. You know, if they say they really care about, you know,
Right.
policing and want to see change and and George Floyd, you know, uh, really made an impact on their
Last summer.
lives.
Yeah.
Guess what? Here's what you can do about it.
Yeah.
Go vote.
Local government is so different.
Local
It's
government
so
touches
important.
us intimately.
First,
You
yes.
know what I'm saying? Intimately. It touches us every day. You know, it rubs our skin every day. It has us every day. You know, so we want to be engaged in that. You know,
Yeah.
that's what we should be doing.
And just like continuing on agencies that serve the community like this, I think, you know, people really giving a voice at this time. Our agency depends on it. How we continue to police our city and, you know, the city limits of within Atlanta, all of that depends on the voting that people do tonight and everything that we see. I think like a great, like Atlanta has just always been the blue dot, and you know, just seeing as far as our mayor and our governor and how, you know, different that can be. We can see the change and the difference Atlanta can make within itself, just within this one area. So hopefully, you know, the change that people are looking to have and looking to see definitely takes place tonight, and it's something positive for the future of Atlanta. It's constantly growing. We're constantly getting bigger, and more people are coming. So it definitely is important for the local people and the people who are already here to make sure they take that time to make their voice be heard and to really put it in their own hands.
That's
But
right.
we kind of wrapped up for tonight, and we're at the end of our show. We want to make sure we give everyone enough time within that last 30 minutes. If you're in line listening to this, or the hour and 30 minutes that you have, definitely go out there and please cast your vote. And Lee, you want to go ahead and close it out for us?
That's all, folks. I'm Lee Reed, Executive Director of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board. You could definitely contact us at our number 404-865-8622. And you could, well, we're not in City Hall yet. So one day we will be back in City Hall.
So ready for it.
Yeah, yes,
so
I know,
ready
right?
for it.
I know. But you know, by the time we come back to City Hall, we will probably be in our new office space. So we have to let everybody know about that. That's right.
Fingers crossed, and we'll have a beautiful, nice lobby for you to come in and you know, report your complaints for us. So we're so excited to get back to City Hall.
And you know, one last thing, you know, it's not always about a complaint. Sometimes it's a question.
Or a question.
Sometimes it's a concern. Sometimes I want to understand why something happened the way it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, the ACRB is an office full of talkers, people who love to be able to talk about the ACRB, and I like to talk about a lot of different things.
That's why we talk every 2 weeks.
Right. So, you know, if you want to come down, you have a question about something dealing with an officer or about just policing in general or your rights or anything like that, come on down. Give us a call.
I mean, and the ACRB, as well as all of the other agencies within City Hall, are here to serve the city, you know, the citizens of Atlanta and the community. So definitely do not be a stranger. We're also on all social platforms. So you can send us a question or, you know, any of your concerns on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You know, we're very accessible on our website, www.acrbgov.org. We can also take questions and complaints there. So we definitely want to hear from you guys, finding out new ways for us to improve, definitely gearing up for the holiday season. But when we are out in the community doing outreach events, we always have volunteers with us. So it's something that we always want to make sure we keep up with as far as our community engagement and getting people involved in what we do here at the ACRB.
Oh, and Melissa, I liked the flyer you sent out earlier about voting.
Thank
Voting
you.
is your superpower. Yeah, that was cool.
Voting is our superpower. So, and if you didn't see the post, go ahead onto our social media and you'll definitely catch it. Give us a like and like that. But definitely, we hope everyone has a good night and stay safe. And we'll see you all again in another 2 weeks for Tuesday Night Talk.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.